Greetings all, and welcome to the Taco Tuesday edition of The Rundown. I am your host today. My name is Mike Piworsky, and I do not do this show by myself, no matter what you may think. I have assistance, I have help, much needed help, and here he is now.
And that would be myself. I am Craig DeLuce, coming at you from the left coast. I will be your co-host, your assistant guide, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, during today's Taco Tuesday edition of The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. So, bro, man, we missed you yesterday.
Yeah, listen, Major Bill did a wonderful job there. For those that don't know the Major, he's the co-host on one of the co-hosts there on Arms Room Radio with me. Craig and I have worked with Major Bill for years now, so it was nice. And even more impressive, Craig, was about an hour before airtime as when I gave him the heads up that I was going to be unable to make it, and he was just coming out of the dentist chair with a mouthful of Novocaine, drooling all over himself. So it was quite a feat he pulled together to get it done.
Well, I'll tell you, he was definitely impressive. In fact, your spot was almost in jeopardy there for a minute.
You know what? Bring out the dueling pistols. Let's do this.
There you go. Well, yeah, you know what, though? You do have the bourbon room in your favor.
It's great. And like the Major said during the program, the night before, I must have had a little bit too much non-bourbon in my bloodstream because I had to make a trip to the hospital yesterday.
Yes. I heard it was definitely interesting. I heard you contaminated the alcohol with non-alcohol in your bloodstream.
The only way I can describe my trip to the hospital is to quote Mr. T from Rocky III: pain. I got to experience my first kidney stone yesterday.
Ouch.
For those of you that have ever had them, I'll give you a moment to recover. Go ahead. There you go. Thank you. Welcome back. It was an ambulance ride at 3 a.m. kind of nonsense, and I was there 16 hours till we managed to extract that puppy. Let's just say that. So.
Wow. Well, I am glad to say that I've never had to experience it, but I know more than a few people who have, and I just say I don't envy y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I would just say this: all those women that talk about childbirth, come on, get a kidney stone. Try that. Oh boy, we kid. That's what we do here. That's what we do.
Yes, what we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Hey, we've got some other good news before we jump into topics here. I want to bring this up. While in the hospital, I was able to score us a sponsor. It was, the phone call came in. It wasn't like in the hospital that it happened, but got our first sponsor. We have our first sponsor is Grid Defense. Grid Defense. Now, Grid Defense is a parts company. They make some upper receivers. They make lower receivers. You can reach them at, I'm going to say it once, and then you can read it in the comments down below. I'm going to say it once because it's the kind of words that get us banned here from some social media. It's Ghost Firearms. So I don't want to say it again, but if you just Google up Grid Defense or go to the link that you can see here, then you'll be able to get one of these. One of these. There's Grid Defense. There we go. We have these. On Friday, we're going to be having Feedback Friday, where you get to interact with us. Well, you're going to be winning one of these. It's an 80% something, if you notice. So we have one of these 80% things that if we say the word of what it really is, or what they call it.
That will definitely be cool, and it'll be a nice thing that we'll be able to give away for folks. Forgive us if we seem a little bit cagey, but you never know how when you start talking about items that Facebook or YouTube don't like, you never know exactly how they're going to respond. But we very much appreciate Grid Defense and their support of this program because I think it's evidence. They don't just support you buying their products that they definitely encourage, but they also support the idea of conservative speech, of talking about issues that are important to America. Because as we say all the time, look, the Second Amendment is an American issue, but then again, most conservative issues are American issues and are at the core of this country. So I'm just glad that they're willing to support conservative values. as well as support the program.
So they'll be doing this for at least the next 4 or 5 weeks. We'll give one of these away on each Feedback Friday. And you know what? We'll tell you at the beginning of the program on Friday what the parameters will be to win this. You know, Craig, I'm thinking like, most astute comment, funniest comment, or something like that. We'll figure it out at the beginning of that program, and we'll let you folks know. And you'll be getting one of these in the mail from us.
I like
if
that.
It's legal for you to have it where
Right.
you are. Okay.
Right.
If it's not, we'll figure out some kind of alternative item for you.
Well, see, and it's funny because I like that idea also because, how important it is, I think, that people learn to be diversified. Sometimes you need to be interesting. Sometimes you need to be funny. But, the most important thing for me is that is that you engage. And so that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to encourage people to actually engage in the conversation because ultimately that's what we enjoy.
That's right. That's right. In the words of Jean-Luc Picard, engage.
Engage.
That's what we want from you.
Okay, on that note, I think it's time to get into today's... Oh, that was easy for me to say. Yeah. I think it's time for us to get into today's news.
I'm still on some of the pain meds, Craig. What can I say? Let's do the news. Let's jump to New York City. New York City. My
get a rope.
my hometown. New York City. There was a little controversy going up there. Listen, we got that the mayor up there, Wilhelm, goes by the name de Blasio. He's on the way out the door there, waiting for actually primaries are this week or next week, I believe, for the New York City mayor's office. But he had a group of Veterans Association come in, and they wanted to have their little parade. They're going to have a little parade. Listen, if you've ever been to New York, you know that it's like the second largest parade holding place in the world. Number one would be, of course, New Orleans, where all you have to do is go and pay $25. You can have your own parade. Well, in New York, they have these groups come along, and they just have parades. Well, the Veterans Association wanted to have it, and they were told, no, I'm sorry, we can't have one because of COVID restrictions. Everything. The city's still locked down. Law enforcement's shorthanded. We can't do it. Well, guess what happened on the same day, Craig?
What happened?
There was a marijuana association parade. There was a pot parade is what they had. Because now in New York, you can walk down the street and smoke that weed. So they had a pot parade. And that was approved after the denial of the Veterans Parade. And they had it on the same place, in the same location where they all have their parades. So New York said no to the Veterans Parade and went yes on the pot parade.
That is ridiculous. That is just beyond ridiculous. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Whatever, however you feel about marijuana, weed, whatever. But the point is this, is that on Memorial Day, you're going to try and tell me that people who were supposed to be honoring, or at least we're supposed to be honoring the fallen, but they don't get to march. Well, here's what the real issue came down to. The real issue came down to the fact that none of these other groups asked for permission, nor did they get in trouble when they actually just marched. But the veterans, well, they decided they were going to be law-abiding, and they were going to actually go through the process. And because they went through the process, that's why they got denied.
They were going to play by the rules, It's kind of a thing that veterans do. They were going to play by the rules. And listen, the guys in the pot parade, they meant to request it. They just,
forgot.
I was gonna go and request it. Instead, I got high. Remember that Reefer Man, Roster Man, the song. I got like music knowledge up here, folks. Too bad I can't sing, but yeah, they got it done. They went and they're doing their parade there. So it was just a pretty slap in the face to veterans everywhere, especially in New York. That this had to happen, and that's just another reason that. This mayor who's been in office for almost 8 years has been there 8 years too long. That's the damn truth.
Well, it is, because once again it's so you're going to punish people who do things the right way, people who serve our country and then do things the right way, and then you're just going to allow other people and then once again, pot isn't necessarily illegal anymore in New York.
Correct.
But you're going to allow them to just break the law. and not actually enforce it. So I'm hoping what that means is that these veterans are gonna actually just decide, screw De Blasio and New York, and they're actually gonna go ahead and march. Anyway,
Yeah, that's hopefully, again, we're talking about Memorial Day is when this is
yeah.
set for. But as of right now, they've been told nope. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. See how.
Well, they got my support if they decide to do that. Not
Oh
that
yeah,
that
heck
means
yeah.
anything to them, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they should just join up with the pot parade, and just march with them. I guess
Some of them probably did.
Yeah. Hey, it's a tough war. What can I say?
It's a tough war. It was a tough war.
Hey, let's jump next door to New York's neighbor real quick, and let's talk about a story out of New Jersey, down off the turnpike. Let's talk about New Jersey now. Craig, are you familiar with the smart gun legislation, smart gun law? It's actually
I'm very familiar with the idiots who think smart guns are a good idea.
Yeah, this is listen, I'd have to pull the article up in front of me, but this is 10, 12 years old, I want to say. This law went into effect.
Yes.
I believe their plan was, it was one of those wishful laws. It was one of those things where they said, we know it's the year 2009. By the year 2020, I believe that smart guns should exist by then. So all new guns to be sold 12 years from now or 11 years from now have to be smart guns. Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. There's a couple of smart guns you and I have seen, whether it be at SHOT Show or somewhere else, and they suck. The technology is not there. We are not, Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever your choice is. These are still guns where you gotta looks like you gotta put on a damn probation and parole bracelet on your wrist. You have to wear that and hold it next to the gun for 20 seconds before it unlocks. Yeah, that's not the kind of smart gun I want if somebody's breaking into my house.
Yeah, the problem is I mean, first of all, we know the technology is sketchy and can be hacked. And then you go from there just to the point of, do we really want to start attaching computerized or electronic things to a firearm? I mean, the whole idea of a standard firearm is that they need to be reliable, and the one thing you don't want to fail when you really need it is a firearm. The other thing is quite frankly, do I really want to have something like that the government can then potentially shut down anytime they want? So if they want to come after us, the citizen, they could just shut down our firearm. I don't know if I want that. But I think the most practical part of this entire thing that's a big problem is the affordability. I mean, the most inexpensive I've seen these firearms is like $1,200 for a 22. And quite frankly, I wouldn't pay $1,200 for a piece of crap gun. Just saying. Yeah. Oh, for 22 in particular.
Yeah. How many of you is out there that have between an iPhone 4 and an iPhone 9, and you put your thumb on there and it says, reader, reader.
You're dead.
You can't get it open. Well, guess what? They want to have the fingerprint gun, because in the movies you grab it and it's the fingerprint gun. Well, guess what happens when your hand's dirty, your hand's greasy, your gun's grimy? You're going to sit there going, please enter your 6-digit code. Please enter your 6-digit code. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The technology's not there. It was nice of them to believe that in 10 years we could start putting people on Uranus, and it just didn't work out that way. So,
well, see, what they tried to do in California was actually write in laws so that they would basically say, well, when the technology is available. Well, the problem is like you look at what they did with microstamping, and they approved it before the technology was actually available. And so now you just have no new model semi-automatic handguns in California.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's crap. It's the law's crap, and the people that write the laws are crap. And I mean, literally writing it on science fiction technology. They saw it in a movie.
They get their ideas from Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Hey, let's jump away from the horrible conservative enemy states of New York and New Jersey and jump down to the Republic of Texas. Texas, the stars are bright late at night. Deep in the heart of Texas. There we go.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
There you go. There you go. So, Craig, it's always great to be in Texas, right? Well, now it's even better. It's even more wonderful to be in Texas because Texas is looking at permitless carry. Right? Do you feel me?
That's phenomenal. It's kind of funny because we always call it a constitutional right, but why do you have to get a permit to exercise a right?
Every time we have this conversation, right? That's the question. Is what other constitutional right do I have to have training for? Do I have to have a permit for to go do? Well, Texas is looking to go do that now. Now, listen, Texas would have done this last year as well, but do you know why Texas didn't do this last year?
No, actually, I don't know why they didn't do it last year.
It's more of a cheap bar trivia question. Texas only legislative cycle is only every other year, so they weren't in cycle last year. So
there you go. Okay, well,
so
they're
those
on
cheap
it.
bar trivia. Now buy me a beer, that kind of thing. Let's see. Yeah, Texas wants to get away from the permit carry. Now that we have always known Texas to be a great republic and a great state for gun rights, they have led the way in many places, and this one just kind of passed them by because everything started going last year. We had what are we up to 20 now? I believe it is, with the last 5 this year being Iowa, Tennessee, Montana, Utah, and Wyoming were the last 5 to jump on board here. We know we've got others taking a look at it also, including the great state of Louisiana is looking at it right now. Alabama's looking at it right now. We know that Georgia's got something in the works. So we'll see how it continues to work. But in Texas, again, looking to get rid of the permits and the training requirements.
Well, now here's the question. So let's say somehow we were to get national concealed carry reciprocity. What would that then look like if you have states that don't have permits?
Well, it would look like a free America. You could travel across every state border, and it wouldn't make a difference if you were carrying your firearm or not. As long as you legally owned that firearm, you could legally conceal that firearm and take it with you.
Yeah, I don't have any faith that Congress is going to pass anything like that. I mean, because here's the thing. And don't get me wrong. I believe in permitless carry. I believe in constitutional carry. My question about it is, do I think a majority of states? I don't think, for example, I don't think like California is going to support the idea of allowing someone to carry a firearm without a concealed carry permit. I just have a hard time seeing that. So what they may wind up have happening, and this is what I'm concerned about, is so you have some states that are permitless and some states that are not, and then the ones that are permitless are going to have to institute some sort of a national permit or whatever with a certain minimum of training or something like that in order for it to be approved in every single state. I mean, I'm just thinking, once again, I'm thinking of a way that these politicians can muck up a good idea.
Yeah, listen, I understand what you're saying. If for reciprocity to occur right now, let's take Florida and Georgia because those are the 2 states we're sitting in. Florida and California, those are the 2 states we're sitting in right now. California, basically says no, we're not taking anybody else's because we're a communist state and we're not doing it. Florida says we'll accept your permit as long as your permit meets our minimum requirements, which is basically you have a permit and that you have some kind of training. Florida does not specify the hours of training; they just want you to have any kind of training whatsoever. Other states, have an 8-hour training requirement, and they won't take your permit on reciprocity unless you have at least 8 hours of permitted training. Well, this would get rid of that requirement, Craig. If you're talking about a true federal national reciprocity, you have all the states that have permitless carry. So you'd have to look at this a couple different ways. One, if we have a permitless carry in states, so we know we have 20 states now that have it. In order for national reciprocity to occur, those other states would then have to recognize that in some states, no training is required. Now, you would think this would be simple. Like, let's say you have the state of Texas, right? And if Texas had no permit carry, that person could carry a driver's license from the state of Texas, and that would suffice the permit requirement in another state for reciprocity. There are some states that still issue permits, just so if you have one and you're going out of state,
right?
That would be okay. Listen, I know we don't have a permit requirement here in the state of Iowa, but we're going to give you one anyway in case you cross over to Illinois.
There you go. That's the way to address it. Yeah.
What they should be doing is saying, oh, your home of residence is Iowa. I've proven that by taking a look at your driver's license. That meets the permit requirement for you.
Yeah, that makes too much sense, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely right.
We
Well,
can't go making sense when it comes to politics.
yeah, exactly. The good thing though is this looks like it's going to move in Texas. We did see some resistance out of Texas. Remember, for some, let's call them misguided gun store owners about the training requirement. You recall this story?
Yeah.
What had happened was there was evidently a letter put together by an organization which may or may not have been legitimate, but we know we had some gun store owners that came out and said we are against this because we are for training. We want everybody to be trained. Well, guess what, guys? We all want people to have training. The problem is, as an absolutist, as a Second Amendment advocate, as just anybody that basically understands the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. This is how this ends, right? There's no training requirement. It's not. It's you can equate it to machinery, to chainsaws, to cars, all you want. There is no constitutional right to any of those. There is a constitutional right that your firearm shall not be infringed. Guess what's going to happen? And this is the short part of the story, is that if you tell people there is no training requirement, they're going to go get more training than you regulated previous to having your minimum training requirement. And how can I prove that? Sure.
Every single study ever done has shown that that's what happens.
Every state, all 20 states that have no permits and no training requirement, just like Craig said, have shown that time and time again. More training is being taken as opposed to the minimum training requirement under your previous regulations.
Funny how that works, huh?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Well, yeah. Inevitably, what winds up happening is whenever you create a floor, people start treating it like a ceiling.
Yeah.
Like California had this one for education funding. Well, called Prop 98, which is supposed to be a floor for education spending, but instead we treat it like it's a ceiling. Like once we hit it, that's all we need. That's all we need to do. And same thing in this case. With usually what winds up happening with training is once you set a floor for training, people start treating it like it's a ceiling. Well, that's all the training that I need, and that's just not true.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely right. Time and time again, seen it happen. Hopefully now that gets signed into law in Texas, and Texas will become one of those more free states out there. But until then, we'll continue to support Texas and hope that their governor Abbott does some things that Governor DeSantis in Florida, Captain Florida, done some things that Captain Florida's done recently. Have you been tracking Florida, Craig? You seen what's going on in Florida?
Actually, I have, and I am liking Governor DeSantis more and more and more, and it just he is like Batman to my governor's. No, my governor's not smart enough to be Joker.
Yeah.
Scarecrow. There you go. Scarecrow. But no, dude, he is doing some phenomenal work down there. I mean, so for those of you who don't know, in a lot of places, right, only the state is allowed to pass gun laws, right? And the reason why is because you don't want to have to drive through. You don't want to be in a state and have to drive through a bunch of different states, a bunch of different cities, and not know what the gun laws are. Well, he's passed what's called, or signed into law, what's called preemption, which basically says only the state can pass laws relating to firearms or restrictions on firearms, making it so that the people who do have a firearm or carry a firearm in the state of Florida know they have one set of laws they have to deal with. I mean, other than the feds, but they know that the laws that they have are pretty consistent and not a patchwork of laws throughout the entire state, like in some places.
Yeah, let's say this. Florida had a preemption law that existed, and it was very, very weak until Florida Carry came along in 2011. It was one of the things they worked on was getting this preemption law, the one that we're still talking about today with Governor DeSantis. It got signed into law in 2011. Now, it had some provisions in it that said, exactly like you said, Craig, that the only laws that can be made for the state of Florida are for guns are what the state of Florida puts out, no patchwork of laws at different jurisdictions below the state level. Now, there was a provision in that. There was a standard in that law that had penalties for cities, counties, jurisdictions, whatever, that would violate that. That was appealed, and it was put on hold, that portion of it. So we had a very good preemption law that told the cities what they couldn't do, but the penalties were, if they did it, was on hold. Well, earlier this year, we saw that went away via the challenge, that was brought forth. I believe it was Broward County that brought it forth, and Florida Carry fought them, and then they won. The Florida Carry won, so those provisions were available again to be placed back into the law. Well, Governor DeSantis made a big deal out of it and said, "Listen, they're back in the law. We're enforcing them." And this is Craig. This got some great stuff. Let me tell you what's in this law now is that if, let's say, a city decides, well, I know the state says we're allowed to have firearms licensed concealed carry in a public building, but we decided we don't like that, so we're not going to allow guns in our city hall or anywhere. When you're just going to get a permit for building or construction, we're going to create our own laws that says you can't have that. Well, and we see those board members or those council members say, "Well, we feel strongly, so we're going to do it. We're not worried about the state." And then you end up in litigation. The city ends up paying money. You end up paying money. Well, now if they do that, if those individuals decide that screw it, we're doing it anyway, the governor can remove them from office. The city and the entity itself can be fined up to $100,000, and that's awarded to the individual whose rights were violated. Mm-hmm. The individuals that did that can personally be fined up to $5,000 again and removed from office. And if any of those things occur and they need legal representation, they have to pay it out of pocket. The city or county cannot pay it for them. So the teeth is now back in this law. You want to say we're not doing it based on our moral judgment? Well, you better make sure your pocketbook's ready to go, buddy, because you're getting removed from office.
It's funny. You got these people who do this stuff, and they do it because they know they can get away with it.
Yep.
They know that there's no personal consequences for them violating the Constitution. And trust me, once again, you know where I'm at. You know I'm in California. You know I see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see them have some skin in the game.
Yeah, this says, sure. Let me see your moral and your dignity now. Stand up, and we'll have a little conversation. And like I said, bring your wallet. Hey, show the judge finder's wallet. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
So that's great. We're seeing out of Florida. This guy just continues to roll. Captain Florida, Governor DeSantis, he continues to roll. So before you know it, Trump will be his vice president instead of the other way around. So. Arizona. Let's jump back to Arizona, Greg. I know we're out west, we're out east, we're out west again. So let's jump back to Arizona. I want to go to cover them. Governor Ducey there. First off, is that not that sounds like a great baseball nickname, doesn't it? Hey, come on, Ducey. Come on, get us a hit, Ducey. Come on. It sounds like a great baseball name. I'm sorry.
Spoken like a true baseball fan.
Just a baseball fan. It really does sound like a good baseball name to me.
Yeah.
The governor out there has been very proactive when it comes to gun laws in the state of Arizona. Now, remember, we had some big issues coming out of Arizona as far as the national election goes. And, is this a red state? Is it a blue state? Is it a red state? It's a blue state. Well, the honest answer is it depends who's counting the votes, right? Well, he's attempting to make Arizona a much more gun-friendly state.
Yes, as a matter of fact, he is. Basically, what he's trying to do is make sure that he's protecting the firearms industry because right now we do have the the Protection of Arms in Commerce Act?
Yes.
Which basically makes it so that you can't sue a firearms retailer or a firearms manufacturer unless they've done something illegal, unless they've sold a gun to somebody who they knew was going to go out and use it in a crime, or they know is involved in gangs and drugs, or unless it was defective, which pretty much is how kind of lawsuits work with anything else. But what was happening was you started having people going and suing firearms manufacturers if someone bought or retailers if someone went and bought a gun and then went out and used it to commit a crime. Well, he's making sure that no matter what happens at the federal level, firearms retailers, firearms manufacturers in the state of Arizona will continue to be protected. You're not going to be able to sue them in Arizona.
Yeah, he's done a very good job of it out there. He's like you said, he's managed to protect firearms dealers. He's protecting firearms owners. They have become a sanctuary state. So anything that firearm related that comes out of the feds, he can say no to, which includes, by the way, folks, your right to own an 80% lower. So on Friday, remember, if you happen to take part in Feedback Friday and you're in Arizona and you win, it's okay for you to have one of these, thanks to your governor, Governor Ducey, who says we are a firearms Second Amendment, sanctuary state. Keep them laws of yours away from us. Keep them nasty federal DC anti-gun liberal laws out of our state. This is Arizona.
Exactly. And the thing is, and you mentioned this already earlier, people talk about, well, we can sue other companies. Well, first of all, people don't generally tend to try and sue other companies when who sue people who
Right.
legally engage in commerce surrounding their product. But the other thing is that this is to help defend against an attack against those who help facilitate a constitutional right.
Yeah.
You do have certain protections, for example, for newspapers or news organizations that facilitate the First Amendment. You have certain protections around churches, once again, to help them to facilitate the First Amendment. So I don't see any reason why, when you know that that in particular that firearms industry is a target of those who seek to subvert our right to keep and bear arms, why we can't make sure that they are not unduly attacked.
Listen, the left, the anti-gun, you'd love to use the driver's license and vehicle analogy when saying, well, if you have a car, you get a driver's license for that. They love to use that analogy for guns and permits. Well, we'll just use that right back with you here. If a man goes out, a woman goes out, and they get drunk and they drive that car and they crash into somebody and there's either property damage or personal injury, do you sue the car manufacturer? Can Ford be sued for the acts of somebody committing a crime in their vehicle? No, absolutely not. Can Ford be sued if they knowingly put a bad steering wheel on there and it's going to come off at 10,000 miles and the guy's driving down the road and the steering wheel comes off? Absolutely. Yes. You could still sue the gun manufacturer for no defects, for anything that they do in the manufacturing process that they know they shouldn't have, and there's liability, for that.
Right. And same thing with retailers. If a retailer breaks the law and sells the gun to somebody who's not supposed to get a gun,
correct,
because they knowingly sell it to them, then you're exactly. They can be held accountable just like anybody else in any other.
Yeah, if the dealer knows it's a bad guy and he sells it out the back door rather than doing it on paperwork, that guy not only is he going to jail, he could be sued. So that's what's going to happen there.
Well, dude.
Craig, let's jump down to our parting shot for the day, if we can here. Let's go ahead and bring that up, and I'm gonna narrate. This one has popped up over the internet in the last couple of days. Let me give this to you, folks. How many guns should a normal person have? Oh, about 5. Well, that sounds like a gun enthusiast to me. No, a gun enthusiast has 15. Well, that sounds like someone obsessed with guns. No, people obsessed with guns have hundreds. Okay, but that sounds like a psycho. No, psychos seldom own guns, or just 1 or 2. Well, that sounds like a normal person, though. No, a normal person has about 5. We've already covered this.
You know what's crazy is that is literally how it is, right?
Yeah.
But try and have that conversation with someone who is not, who doesn't own any firearms.
Right.
Try to have that conversation.
Yeah, they don't get it.
It's like,
there's a lot to owning firearms that's the same as just being a collector of anything. I don't care if it's autographed baseballs or Ming Dynasty vases. You don't if you love them, you don't just get one. I like this one. This one's a little bit different. This one's got a variation of this. This one was a fourth print, and it's missing the word "the" on the second sentence. You have that with collectors.
Well, not just that though, but I tell people, I'm like, imagine trying to play golf with just one club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not everything that you do can you do with a single firearm, right? For example, one firearm might be better for home defense. Another one might be better for skeet shooting. Another might be better for hunting. One may be better for the home, but a different one would be better for concealed carrying. Yeah. And then depending on what time of year it is and what you're wearing and whether or not you want, to be imprinting, with a full-size firearm in the summertime versus maybe something that's a subcompact. I mean, different firearms have different, and then some are just cooler than others.
now, Craig, a little movie trivia. Did you see the movie Tin Cup with Kevin Costner?
Yes, I have.
He played golfer Roy McAvoy. McAvoy used to hustle people, and he would shoot an entire round of golf with a 7-iron.
Yes.
Well, 7-iron, a rake, and a bat, that kind of stuff. But he would shoot the entire thing with a 7-iron. And if you could only have one gun, if there was only one gun that you could have, what would it be? What would it be? What would your 7-iron be, Craig?
My 7-iron is my Glock. It would be my Glock 17.
Glock 17? Okay. I think I'd have to go, if I could only have one gun, it would be America's modern sporting rifle, the AR-15.
A little hard to conceal carry.
Well, you ain't trying hard enough. You just got to get you a bigger coat. Folks, thanks for joining us today. Again, I want you to remember this Friday we're going to be giving away an 80% lower or some sort of equivalent value item. By the way, $99 on the website. It's a Grid Defense. Thanks to them. Check them out. You can see their web address there in our comments. And listen, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe. That's what we need from you.
Can't say it any better. Like, share, subscribe. We will see you tomorrow on Hump Day.
Hump Day.